want to ask you, there are so many young women who read It Ends With Us, and there are so many young women here tonight. So what do you hope that these young women take away from this movie?
I hope they feel seen. I hope they feel loved. I hope they feel empathized with, and I hope they feel like there's always hope. There's always an opportunity, whether that's from yourself, from a best girlfriend, that you're not defined by anything any man has ever done to you or will ever do to you, that your identity is you and you define that.
I loved Martha Stewart so much, but I also love fashion so much and everything that my mom was. And so I figured I'd just go to college and figure it out, which was having my own company, which was having a company that incorporated all of the things that I love in life. Everything that Preserve is everything that I am in my personal life. And so it's actually the stuff that I'm good at. It's the stuff that I spend most of my time doing, the stuff that I've really honed and practiced.
Yesterday, I missed out on discussing some intriguing revelations from the Daily Mail regarding Preserve LLC, which was Blake's attempt at establishing herself as a lifestyle influencer. She aimed to emulate figures like Gwyneth Paltrow and Martha Stewart, envisioning a future where she could retire and transition into a role analogous to theirs, freeing herself from the constraints of acting. She even shared this ambition with Forbes. You see, she was listed as one of their 30 under 30 foot and took pride in her entrepreneurial endeavors. This is particularly noteworthy considering the recent expose by the Daily Mail regarding the working conditions of her employees and her limited engagement with operations, which complicates things. Take a look at this.
There's not one element of the site that I don't touch. So there are the fun parts, like every photo shoot, all the clothing, or our recent gift guide. I did all of the prop styling, written site copy for the product. Like, it is this many inches tall. Just things that I should not be doing. Raising money through investors is something I've done all on my own. There's not one thing that I don't touch, but I also love that. You have an acting career and you think of it as, well, this is my craft and this is an art. But really, this day and age, it's each person is their own brand. And so I have they call in this world the unfair advantage of having what is an existing brand. So it's as if a company who's been successful goes and starts a different company in a different field. So it is very unfair that I can raise money easier through that. But it's also, I've learned so much about raising the right money. You want to go to investors who are invested. So their physical investment is worth so much more than their fiscal investment. Challenging in it, and it beats you down, but you just have to love it so much in order to keep going each day.
Listening to her speak, one would assume she was hands-on in every aspect of the business, from its inception to development, from uploading content to the site, which was rather subpar, to crafting the website text, selecting products, and organizing photo shoots. You might think she was managing everything single-handedly. It's quite astonishing to discover the number of individuals that were part of this so-called company, especially since the website left much to be desired, accompanied by dismal reviews regarding the peculiar products she selected, the odd clothing and dolls she endorsed, the bizarre copy and articles produced, and the unusual recipes shared. It felt remarkably disconnected, even more so than Gwyneth Paltrow. It wasn't very accessible, and if you listen to her, she had a hand in every single detail. It was entirely her doing. Yet, during this launch, she was also engaged in filming Age of Adeline, navigating her pregnancy, and welcoming her first child. She starred in 2 films, became a mother, and started a business all simultaneously, suggesting it's quite probable she played no role in the business operations. In this industry, it's not unusual for a celebrity to simply attach their name to a venture, employing a team to handle the actual work, and leveraging their name to market the product, much like how Ryan Reynolds has constructed his seemingly grand empire that's not as extensive as you might assume. According to the Daily Mail, it was primarily the staff who managed everything. However, it wasn't even her employees. It was her brother, Eric, who resided in the New York area back then. The office operated out of his studio apartment and was reportedly unprofessional and toxic. The Daily Mail interviewed 6 former workers of this firm, revealing that it was based in a Manhattan studio that Eric owned. Allegedly, he consumed alcohol, smoked marijuana, and often left the team stranded when he overslept. One insider described the whole organization as a complete mess. The accusations that Blake is now leveling against Baldoni are steeped in irony, considering that it was one of the most outrageous, toxic, emotionally exhausting, and chaotic atmospheres one could envision. This closely resembles the experience of being on a film set with her, as reported by individuals from the movie industry who described working alongside her as tumultuous. My takeaway from my time at Preserve was that she seemed indifferent. The workplace was quite toxic. Apparently, the employees spoke out in anonymity. They were apprehensive about facing repercussions from Lively for highlighting the alleged disorderly and inappropriate work climate that she oversaw. Numerous employees were reportedly requested to sign non-disclosure agreements regarding the company's downfall, and a few were said to have received settlements as high as $300,000 after threatening legal action concerning their treatment. When everything unraveled, Blake didn't provide much insight into what transpired or the reasons behind it. She merely stated that it wasn't successful. She initiated it prematurely. She was unprepared. At one point during an interview in the fall, just before the debacle, she claimed that she was being pitted against other women, attributing her company's underperformance to sexism. However, we'll arrive at that point. As revealed by former staff, Leslie Sloan put an end to it all. They concealed every aspect related to that business. Initially, she recruited an individual with relevant expertise to take charge. The person responsible was Christian Menon, who operated a marketing firm based in Los Angeles. Subsequently, they relocated to New York, and things deteriorated swiftly once her brother got involved.
I want to ask you, there are so many young women who read It Ends With Us, and there are so many young women here tonight. So what do you hope that these young women take away from this movie?
I hope they feel seen. I hope they feel loved. I hope they feel empathized with, and I hope they feel like there's always hope. There's always an opportunity, whether that's from yourself, from a best girlfriend, that you're not defined by anything any man has ever done to you or will ever do to you, that your identity is you and you define that.
Allegedly, he employed 8 young individuals in their 20s from the realms of digital marketing and design, ushering in a year of disarray. He lacked the qualifications necessary to direct a business. There were numerous ways in which the working environment was less than professional. For extended weeks or even months, there were no desks available. We were forced to work on the floor. The absurdity of being part of a lifestyle platform promoting these high-priced items was evident to all. The workspace was spacious, with no clear separation between living and working areas. The bed occupied the same space as the office. There was a whiteboard present, but the place was sparsely decorated. It felt as if he were merely playing a role, pretending to be a creative director for the company. That rings a bell. I believe Blake navigates everything with a performance. One day, seemingly out of the blue, he announced, "You need to devise a plan and showcase it by tomorrow." You arrive at the office the following day, and he's still in dreamland. It was said that they often found themselves stuck outside in the chilly weather on weekday mornings. Individuals would be out in the cold, and he would keep them waiting because he was still nestled in bed, indulging in a bowl. He was also popping pills. He would casually smoke. He drank as well. When we reached the workplace, the air was thick with the scent of cannabis. It was obvious that he had celebrated the previous night. Yet, he possessed a certain charm and persuasiveness that made you want to be in his company. You just had no clue what surprises awaited when you were around him.